2, 3.
Oh, snap. EP2.
All right,
We got EP2 coming up.
Episode 2 of the Executives.
Executives Podcast.
All right.
Back in action.
Thank you. Thank you to our listeners.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for
I think we had
tuning in.
40 last night.
Yeah. Not bad, right?
Oh, it wasn't too bad.
No, it's not. That's
much more than I was expecting for two jabronis just talking on a microphone.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe we should change it to the jabronis.
The jabronis?
No. We got to be regal.
Regal.
Right? That's
Yeah,
a good word.
executives.
Good word.
Yeah, I like Regal.
Regal.
Regal Cinemas.
Dude, Regal Cinemas. I like AMC.
You an
Regal's
AMC guy.
trash.
Are you kidding me? Well, I guess Regal back in the day was the bee's knees and AMC was trash. And then AMC capitalized.
No, Regal's way better. AMC's just like they've got more of them. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that's the impression I got.
Well, don't they have those like nice Didn't we see
Dude, they got-
Endgame at an AMC?
yeah,
like with
they
the Dolby
do.
theater?
Yeah. But that was like specially freaking designed.
Yeah, you had subwoofers under the
I
seats.
mean, that was an insane experience. That was an insane experience.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
Dude, how crazy is it that Marvel's, movie franchise, I mean, it was really, 2008 to 2019, going from Iron Man 1 all the way to Endgame. Like, that's how much buildup that movie franchise had.
Yeah.
That's just kind of insane to think about, like, in hindsight, how many freaking movies they had, dude.
There's obviously
Yeah.
the movies before that we're not talking about because they're not part of the storyline.
Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not counting those.
You got the Ed Norton Hulk, like
Ed Norton Hulk. Dude, that was an insane movie. Like, I can't believe they actually made that movie.
Yeah.
With Ed Norton.
One of the big UFC guy, Gracie's was in it. Yeah, because
Really?
Ed Norton was studying a martial art at that time.
Wow.
When he was training for that movie.
So he threw his buddy in.
Yeah, I mean, this
movie?
guy started
That's awesome.
Gracie,
Yeah.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Gracie.
He came up with something. He did something, right?
Yeah. Probably should study up on that more. I'm not Joe Rogan, so I don't got the fight
Yeah,
details
yeah.
down as much.
Right,
But yeah. So
dude, so there's been, since what? It's been about 2 weeks since our last podcast, right?
I would say about 3, maybe 2-3 weeks.
You might be right.
Yeah.
So a hell of a lot has been happening.
Yeah, I don't even know if we should talk about it.
Dude, I
There's
know.
so much, man.
There's so much.
Do we just talk about Dyson spheres?
We could talk about Dyson spheres. So, did we talk about that last time? I don't think we did.
No, we never got into
Yeah.
our aspiring scientist
Yeah.
part of the biography.
Yeah. So, I mean, for those of you who don't know what a Dyson sphere is, there's a section of science that's called futurism. That's like, okay, how's humanity gonna live in the future? And so, pretty simple. That's futurism. And one of the aspects of futurism is, where are we gonna live? So, and some people think that humanity is gonna live in a Dyson sphere. And a Dyson sphere
It's not a vacuum.
It's not a vacuum. Yeah, it's not a vacuum. A Dyson sphere is, people imagine it like a rigid shell around the sun. And that way, people will just live like directly around the sun. But it's more of like trillions of tiny habitats that float around the sun. And that's where people think that humanity's going to live in the far future. But not the far, too distant, like 500 years.
Halo.
Yeah, kind of like Halo. Yeah.
Yeah?
Exactly. I never played Halo.
Oh,
No.
whoa.
I never
You're
played Halo,
You're
dude.
too young.
I'm not too young. I had a bunch of buddies
Halo,
who played Halo, dude.
Halo.
I was just never a Halo guy.
Yeah.
I was just never a Halo
What was
guy.
that movie where like all the rich people lived on that Dyson sphere?
Dude, that was with Matt Damon, wasn't it? And he was like on the planet.
Invictus?
No. That's that's the Brad Pitt movie, Invicta. I haven't seen that. But no, that's with like Matt Damon.
Yeah, and he has
is like a poor guy, but he was like, he has some power.
Yeah, he's like a half robot.
Yeah, exactly. He's got some like freaking power or something. like, and he like upsets the system and like crashes all the Dyson spheres like into the earth or something crazy like that. Speaking of like those movies, like you ever seen District 9?
That was gonna be the next movie I brought up because it's so similar to that.
Yeah, it is exactly.
Dude, I love
District 9.
I mean, I love South Africa. D Antwoord, if you ever heard of that band.
No, I haven't. Is that the band in that movie?
It's Ninja and then this other guy. No, this other girl, I can't remember her name right now. It's escaping
But that's
me.
the people in the movie,
Yeah,
right?
so yeah,
They're the
she's
band.
got like the like weird like hair, and then he's got like a mullet, and he's got like tattoos all over his face.
And they're like, hey, Matt,
Hey, they have this crazy
they got
stuff.
a crazy,
They
like-
are the most gangster people ever. Like they makes the like weirdest, but I saw them live at Lollapalooza.
Really?
And I was like, I didn't know what to expect because I've seen their music videos and they're just really fucked up. And I'm using that as a descriptor.
Like, in what way?
Like one of their music videos features like a small person, but like they're like dressed up all weird and it's very like dark and twisted.
I think it's a little person.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's.
Sorry.
I don't think it's a small person. I think it's a little person.
Sorry. Yeah, and so I didn't know what to expect, and then they came on and they played like their hits, and live it was amazing. But in between, their DJ would like throw on these really like hard hitting electronic songs.
Yeah.
And people would just go nuts, and they just come back on and start raging again. And it was,
live?
yeah, it was an experience for sure. Probably one of the craziest shows I've ever seen, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, Section 9 was
District 9.
or District 9.
9.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Mockingjay, Hunger
Oh
Games
yeah,
right
yeah. Was there a
Section
Section 9? No, it was like Sector.
Yeah,
right. It was like
Sector.
Sector,
Yeah.
And like she was from like.
District 12 or
Or no,
something.
it was districts. It was districts.
Yeah,
it wasn't
sorry.
Sector.
We're just screwing this all
yeah,
up right
we
now.
are screwing this all up. That's all right.
But
no, the thing that I like the most about District 9 is their take on aliens. Because it's not like the typical, like, you know, green men with giant brains, you know. They're literally like a not a hive mind, but a hive, like a hive of bees.
Yeah.
Where they have like millions on billions of workers who are dumb as a box of rocks. Mm-hmm. Like you see in the beginning of the movie, they literally get bribed with catnip.
Yeah.
To do like they'll trade all their crazy alien weapons for catnip because they're the workers and
where
they're
not
hell.
they're the inferior
Exactly.
race.
Exactly. And then you have the leaders like the queen bee type style who are like, you know, that dad and his son. If you remember the movie.
Yep.
So there's like two aliens who are like the only smart aliens because they would have been the leaders.
Yeah, and they're trying to build a spaceship to get back.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think they do get back in the end, right?
Not going to spoil it.
I don't remember. Oh my God, dude, that movie came out 10 years ago.
There was a
Yeah.
twist at the end. I don't
Yeah,
wanna
but
spoil.
I mean, I just love that take on aliens because we don't know what aliens are going to be like. We have no idea what society
Be
or like how.
or
Yeah,
have been.
yeah, exactly, or have been. Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's aliens out there.
Oh,
I don't think
man,
there's aliens
here
out
we
there,
go.
bro. But I mean, there could be. But I don't. Let me rephrase that. I don't think there are aliens in our galaxy. I don't think there's any aliens in the Milky Way. They're out there somewhere.
They have to be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the Milky Way. I would agree with that. You
Yeah.
and I have always butted heads
Yeah,
when
we
it comes
have.
to aliens.
Yeah, we have.
But now that you've conceded to the Milky Way, I will concede to you as well.
I would even. I don't think I'd go this far, but it's certainly possible because there's like a bubble around Earth, which is the observable universe. So we can only see the part of the universe that we've had there. It's been enough time that light has reached Earth.
That part,
Yeah. So it's a giant bubble literally centered on Earth. That's the observable universe. And most scientists think that the rest of the universe is either a little bit bigger or possibly even infinite. But
Well, it's growing.
it is. The universe is expanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also getting less dense. So the same amount of stuff is in a bigger and bigger space. Like, we're not getting new universes and new stars in. Everything's fleeing
How you measuring
further and
that?
further away
How
from
you
us.
measuring that shit?
I can't tell you how I can't tell you how science. I'm not a scientist.
All right, we got another piece of universe popping up. No meteors or no comets.
But look at this. But the reason that I know that is that it's dark matter pushes everything away from each other.
Okay.
Right? So that's why the universe is expanding, and that's also why we're not getting new stuff. Like, as the universe gets bigger, as it gets pulled apart by dark matter, there's nothing that opposes dark matter, as far as we know. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say, make a definitive statement, because, again, I'm not an astrophysicist. But I can't tell you that as far as aliens go, they got to be out there somewhere. The universe is just too big. It's just too big. But I don't think the Milky Way's giant. The Milky Way's got billions of stars. And I still don't think there's aliens.
My biggest thing, as you know, is even if they were here or they are somewhere else, do we have the capability, the understanding, even if that's the word or the phrase to use, the ability to recognize? I don't even know if if physics is a universal. It's throughout the universe.
Yes. But not to get on we can talk about this later, but physics may not be the same in other universes.
So you don't know, because a worm doesn't know what a human is or what a human is doing. Yeah. So that's always been my biggest. Oh yeah, think about it. Think about this. Sorry to cut you off.
No, please. Think about this. There's been speculation that aliens could live in Jupiter. In the gas rings, Jupiter's a gas giant. So there could be aliens that to us just look like gas clouds, but they're actually giant bacteria.
They're just giant life forms.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't even want to say bacteria. Yeah. Just giant friggin' life forms. But at the same time, you don't want to go too far in that direction, because then you end up saying things like, well, how do we know a rock's not intelligent?
Well, from that recent other podcasts we were listening to, there's ways that coral telecommunicate throughout the world. There's
that's so crazy.
Spans of mushroom networks throughout the ground that communicate through the trees. There's a lot of stuff we don't understand.
That's like Avatar stuff, dude. That they're connected to the sacred tree.
That Joe was not wrong, or the guy that James Cameron. He's got something.
What do you think of that movie?
Which one?
Avatar.
Avatar?
Yeah. Because I've been hearing some things recently about it, but I want to get your opinion.
Honestly, I haven't seen that movie in a very long time.
Okay.
But I remember the premise of it, and that the guy was paralyzed and then would go into a simulation chamber of sorts and become this avatar creature, and then eventually build the trust of the tribe and what have you. And then eventually didn't want to escape that thing.
Yeah. So it's basically like Dances with Wolves, but in an alien.
Dances with Wolves.
Or a more modern reference would be The Last Samurai, but with aliens.
Yeah.
That's basically the movie, and that's the criticism I'm starting to hear. And it's only in the last few years. When that movie came out, I think prior to Infinity War, that was the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So, when it came out, everybody loved it. But in the last few years, I've heard people being it actually wasn't that good. Which I kind of agree with, to be honest with you.
At the time, if you're thinking of an Avatar-like world and you're a smart person, you're a creative designer, you're probably we'll make the trees talk to each other and the mushrooms glow and shit.
I think,
we'll make them live off the earth and be, tree huggers.
Dude, it's literally Dances with Wolves with aliens. They're literally Native Americans.
Yeah.
The comparison, and I don't mean that as a bash on Native Americans. It's just such an obvious connection. It's I don't think that's creative at all. Just let's imagine, what's America gonna do in 1,000 years? We'll go into some planet, find some super metal that's very, very rare, and just mess up the whole planet and
send
try
some
to get it.
Dickhead general there.
Yeah.
No regard for any sort of life form.
Yeah, exactly. And being in the military, look, there's a lot of hotheads, you know. There's a lot of people who are full of themselves, obviously, but I can tell you, we go out of our way to not upset the native population.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. You literally have to. Hearts and minds is the term.
As we saw in the movie The Outpost.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
those guys went out of their way to talk to the tribal leaders.
Yeah, so The Outpost is a movie about the camps in Afghanistan that were
it's more of a the term is FOB, I should say. But go on. Forward operating base.
Yeah, operating bases in Afghanistan in areas where they knew there was Taliban, but there's locals that they can get intel from. But instead of being on top and having higher ground, they were at the bottom of valleys.
Yeah.
And basically just like sitting ducks. And I could not imagine what that was like.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to like hearts and minds, we learned that lesson in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we didn't give a crap about winning hearts and minds in Vietnam. Like, I saw a movie review today of We Were Soldiers, and literally the objective of correct me if I'm wrong, because I said in the last podcast, you know 10 times more about Vietnam than I do.
Yeah.
But the objective in Vietnam was not to take a city or to, destroy a steel factory. No. It was just to kill as many of the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese as possible.
That's how they reported it. That's how the Americans felt like they were winning, was based off the number of death counts of Viet Cong and Northern Vietnamese versus the ARVN and the American. Was it the ARVN?
I don't know.
American troops.
I don't know what they were called.
So, I mean, they did not give a shit about the locals. They just killed as many people as they could because, we thought a lot of the locals were, and we rightfully were Viet Cong.
Yeah.
And, they could be a normal family, and then they have 5 AK-47s hidden under their house, and you don't know it.
And that's, and we ran into a lot of similar problems.
I'm not justifying any of the horrible atrocities that happened to those innocent people.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And and nor I should add, not to sound too like Hua America, but nor the bravery of American soldiers who were just drafted.
Yeah.
Like those guys I have the utmost sympathy for.
Just
that
plucked up.
Exactly. You're an 18-year-old kid. You graduate high school, and bam, you get drafted. Like, you get drafted. I can tell. Just put yourself in that situation. You graduate high school, and you go to basic training for 10 weeks, and then I don't know if they even had advanced training, because now in the military everybody goes to basic, but then you go to advanced training. Yeah. So imagine you go to basic training for 10 weeks. And then let's say maybe we'll give another 4 weeks of infantry training. So 14 weeks, 3 months, your whole summer after you graduate
summer
high
senior
school.
Year.
Yeah.
Supposed to be spent partying.
Yeah. Instead, you're in basic, then you're in infantry school, and then bam, you're on the ground in friggin' Vietnam, dude. Like, that's so
Welcome to college,
up,
boys.
That is so messed up.
Do you think there could be another draft?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Could be potentially
Is
soon.
It really?
Potentially soon.
Really? Are we of eligibility? Do you know what the eligibility is?
So it's 18 to 40.
Holy
is the draft.
Shit.
Now, a caveat on that is they're not going to be drafting 30, 35-year-olds right off the bat. Yeah. They're going to start. There's going to be tons of exemptions for people. Everybody has to register. And so that way they know how many people they need to draft. So if the generals come to the president and say, we need 1 million troops for this, then they'll say, okay, well, in that case, we can draft everybody between the ages of 18 and 30 who's not in college and who isn't an essential worker. Bam, there's your 1 million people. But that's just a hypothetical example. But that's why everybody has to register for the draft. But, oh, yeah, it could be very soon. It could be very soon. But not to devolve, but with with the current political climate, there could be 2 drafts.
2?
Yeah.
What do you mean 2?
1 for each side.
You have to decide, or you're pushed?
No.
Based on where your location is?
I'll just say it. There could be a Democratic draft and a Republican draft.
Shut the fuck up.
Dude, I'm like, look, it's unlikely. It is unlikely.
Yeah.
But it's possible.
And you would have to decide, but you would have to choose one.
Yeah. Because they're going at it, dude.
Civil War.
They're going at it, yeah. See, now you see what I'm saying. There was drafts in the North and in the South in the first Civil War. The second one comes, there'll be a Republican draft and a Democratic draft.
Oh, my God. You're just blowing my mind right now.
Dude, I'm saying, like, it is unlikely. It is unlikely, but I actually wouldn't even go as far as to say it's very unlikely. I think it's probably a 10% chance.
All right. Well, I'll start getting my
Yeah,
PTN.
on a somber note right there. Oh, crap. Somber note right there. Okay, we're at 20 minutes in. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so what were we talking about? Vietnam, right?
Vietnam, yeah. We got a little sun shining in, too.
Vietnam, that's fine. Vietnam, I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, that's how much the American military has learned from that conflict. Is like, we now realize you have to win hearts and minds. And going all the way back to what we were originally talking about, that's why I find Avatar so unrealistic. Like, it's like
quite the divulge.
See that? We brought it all the way back around.
I can't believe you remember that.
Big circle.
Like,
I know.
David Blaine
yeah,
would talk, and then it'd just be like, "I'm gonna forget this," and then he would just
he
would never talk about it.
My partner and I, Jared.
I'm not your partner,
not
like romantic
partner. Yeah, not romantic partner.
We're just executives.
And, yeah, just my fellow executive Jared and
go.
I listened to the David Blaine Joe Rogan podcast recently, and that guy has done some insane stuff. Like, I recommend anybody listen to listen to that podcast. That dude is not a human being.
Well, he's
not a human being.
Do you remember, like, whenever he was talking about street magic? Mm-hmm. The first thing he came out with. Have you ever seen that show? He literally walks up to strangers. He goes to the ghetto, the hood. He goes and just knows that his magic, no matter what, no matter how hard someone looks, no matter how scary someone looks, he goes up to them, he does a magic trick, they're going to turn into a child. And that's like, that was the beauty of that show. He didn't expect it to blossom into a career that he's had, but he is a just freak of nature, because he took that and he started to realize and study more than just magic, but like, okay, what are the realities? Like, what can I do that's real that will just freak people the fuck out?
Oh, yeah.
Like the ice pick trick.
That was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's biologically possible to put an ice pick through your arm, not hit any nerves, arteries, or anything. Not even, I think he bled on the show, but you can literally just put it right through your arm and have it come out the other side. And that's just anatomy.
That's so
and
insane.
That's studying.
Like, that's the type of stuff that he did. Like when he was like buried alive.
Yeah.
Like, it's not so much magic as like testing the limits of human endurance.
Exactly.
I'm
very excited for Ascension. Very
What's that?
excited. The balloon trick.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's gonna basically, like, his childhood dream of like holding balloons and just going and disappearing into the sky.
Stupid, dude. That's so crazy, man.
I wonder where he's gonna take off from. Like, there's so many different.
Dude, it would be cool if he went on top of a giant.
Actually,
building.
I think you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I don't know what the hell you're talking
about.
Yeah,
you were.
Dude, Napoleon only slept for 4 hours a night.
Why?
That's all he needed. He's a busy guy. He's running the French Empire and winning battles and
That's
such.
That's why he's such an asshole. He's just
tired
all the time.
He was
like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm tired.
Maybe that was why. Maybe that was why, man. Yeah. Napoleon was an interesting character. He's an interesting. He actually wasn't short. It's just people were short back then.
So he was average.
So yeah, exactly. He was average height. Like, he was not a short man for the time.
4'9".
No, I think he was like 5'5", 5'6". He was just short. He was the average height for the time.
But do you think at the time, like, the taller guys were like more regarded as like kings and?
Yeah, I think so. That's even today too.
Correlation.
It's even like, I think it's just biology that, like, it's not universal, but like, if you're taller, you're more imposing to people.
You're more
like people
posing,
are less
yeah.
likely to mess with you. Like if you're 6 foot and you're like ripped versus if you're like 5 foot and ripped, you still the 5 foot guy. You might not want to fight him, but you still might want to be like, and this guy's 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
I could take him.
Or you just pull and I Love You Man and just go batshit crazy.
Yeah, right? Yeah, dude. That's such a good movie. I Love You Man. That's such a good movie, man. Jobin. Yeah, Jobin.
I mean, that's just natural Paul Rudd right there.
Oh, I
Like,
know.
if you ever
dude.
watch the outtakes, it's
I know.
just
I
him
haven't.
just
I need to
It's
watch.
just him practicing that.
I need to.
And it's just him being him.
Joe? Dude, he's so... That's such a good movie. They don't make movies like that anymore. They don't really make movies like that anymore. Like,
You know,
when's
the last one I saw was
comedy
like
you saw?
that End of the World. Like,
Yeah, yep. I
feel like-
actually, I think that the interview came out after that.
yeah, Interview.
I think the interview was the last, like...
That was fucking hilarious.
goofy comedy that came out. I love that movie. So good. I still can't believe this is one of my biggest problems with society today is, for lack of a better word, is cowardice. Like, you remember The Hack? They hacked that movie. The North Koreans.
Yeah, the North Koreans hacked Sony.
Yeah, they hacked Sony. And then all the theater companies in the U.S. were like, we're not showing this movie. We're not showing it. And then, of course, it ended up getting picked up by Netflix. But there were certain, like, small movie theaters. Like, for example, George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote Game of Thrones, owns a movie theater in New Mexico. And he said, he was like, if you guys are scared of Kim Jong-un, imagine being Charlie Chaplin and coming out with The Great Dictator when Hitler was in power. Charlie Chaplin made a movie making fun of Hitler in the 1930s. So his point was, I think, was a good one. It's like, dude, you're scared of Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin did this 70 years ago against somebody who was 10 times worse.
Yeah. I mean, Seth Rogen, Judd Apatow, they're not dumb people.
No.
And I mean,
I love Seth Rogen.
Most people, I'd hope, know that, like, Kim Jong-un, he may seem like a threatening person. He's a absolutely fucking horrible human being.
Yeah, he is.
And is doing absolutely horrible things to humans, but he to Americans, he's harmless.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's trying to create this image of the West to his people that we're just the devil.
Yeah,
and
literally.
at the same time, he's fucking killing them. So I don't understand why it's like a blind following, but they're born into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
if
if they don't follow it, they die. They get sent to prison.
Yeah.
And they have what is it, family sentences or like generational sentences?
I think it's family. I don't think it's
where like if
generational,
you fuck up, like your grandpa and then your next kin, their next kin, like their next of kin, they're gonna get put in labor camps.
Yeah.
Like your whole generation of family
Yeah.
is just gonna live out the rest of the eternity in labor camps.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
you
mean,
stole some rice.
I mean that's a communist country for you, right?
Yeah, I say we just fucking take them out.
Well, we can't do that.
Why not?
They got nukes. They at least claim to have nukes.
Okay, who's gonna launch a nuke if he's dead?
Oh, him personally.
Oh yeah,
him personally. Well, my response to
Give
that
him
would
some
be
poisoned cheese or wine, or
Yeah.
he's the biggest consumer of cognac or Cavassier, I think, in the world.
Dude, that's insane. That's insane. But no, the problem with that is blowback, to use the CIA term. Okay, you take out Kim Jong-un.
What happens to that country?
Yeah. What do you do then?
We have to come in there and set up some sort of democracy.
Exactly. Which
Or else-
that's what America's best at, baby.
Or we send our buddies in South Korea and be like, "Yo, Kim's gone. You can go up there now."
No, South Korea is an amazing country.
One of the best.
I would love to visit South Korea.
Me too.
Absolutely. I knew a bunch of guys who were in the military who were in South Korea, and they had
biggest
only good things.
drinking country in the world, by the way.
Dude, that's amazing. I would love to
They
go there.
consume the most alcohol.
It's
out
got
of
to
any
be per
country
capita.
in
It
the
has
world.
to be per capita,
Yeah,
though.
I mean, it's because they're always eating like fried foods
Yeah.
and like Korean barbecue. Well, Korean barbecue in the U.S. is way different, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy, though, that you would never think the Koreans are actually not the Germans, not the French with their wine. It's the Koreans.
That's it. That is kind of crazy to think about, right? That is kind of crazy.
Or the United States with their goddamn, eagle claws.
North Korea's a paper tiger. They have there's an old saying that they have a large appetite but poor teeth militarily. Mm-hmm. So they'll talk a lot of bluster. Same thing with Iran.
Yeah.
They'll talk a lot of bluster. They'll make a lot of noise, but
they'll strap a couple bottle rockets to an aluminum can and shoot in the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. like what are they going to do? Now Russia and China is a much different story. Much different story. They actually have pretty good teeth.
Yeah.
But no, North Korea. But the problem is, it's just a very complicated situation because not only is it what do you do after Kim's gone, we can't just go in because China does not want a U.S. ally on its border. Because China shares a border with North Korea. Mm-hmm. And North Korea is basically dependent on China for everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Just as North Korea was dependent on the Soviet Union prior to China.
Yeah.
So we can't just go in there and take the whole country over. Nothing.
I'm saying, aren't we pretty dependent on China right now?
Oh, us?
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah.
So why wouldn't they want another teat that's going to be suckled?
It's not so much economically, it's more like strategically, militarily.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, they don't want a or it wouldn't be South Korea at that point. They don't want a Korean regime friendly to the United States on their border.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Exactly. And because they already have, like, Vietnam, shockingly, is actually basically an American ally because Vietnam is extraordinarily scared of China. So they don't want another country on their border hostile to them.
The whole reason we went and fought in the Vietnam War was to avoid them becoming communist country.
Yeah, exactly.
So
now they're not anymore, which is kind of funny. They're like communist in all but name, or actually vice versa. They're capitalist in all but name. Yeah, they're capitalist in all but name. Yeah, no, like they got a bunch of factories and they're making tons of money over there.
They're making a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
I guarantee if I look at my shirt and your shirt, there's a 50% chance one of them's made in Vietnam.
Yeah, right? Probably, dude. Probably.
Oh, man.
It's just a complex situation over there. I don't know how we got on to North Korea from.
I thought you were the tracer here. You're supposed to trace it back.
Yeah, I know. I gotta.
We're talking about David Blaine, and then we end up on North Korea. David Blaine to North Korea.
David Blaine is dope. Everybody, listen. David
Ascension. YouTube gave him basically millions of dollars to take a bunch of balloons, and he's literally going to strap himself to it, grab them, and float up like 25,000 feet. He hasn't tried it. He's just going to go as far as he can.
Dude, that's so insane. But like, he's probably got a parachute, right?
Well,
like
you didn't hear this.
You didn't
go.
Oh,
yeah, okay.
I was going to sleep, though. I don't sleep.
All right,
like
first
Napoleon.
of all, he's holding a rope, right? So he really wants the childhood image, of basically like a kid holding a rope.
Like Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just the kid holding the rope and then he's just flying into the air.
Yeah, that's cool.
So he's going to have a harness on his wrist that's probably going to connect to his torso or his groin somehow.
Okay.
But up in the balloons, he's going to have oxygen tanks.
Yeah.
And then he's going to have a parachute. So at 2,000 or 3,000 feet, he's going to put the parachute on. But up to 3,000 feet, he's going to be without a parachute.
I do remember that. Yeah. Like, that man is insane.
Yeah, he's going up to 25,000 feet in an airplane without any oxygen and just doing breathing techniques so that he can, breathe at 25,000 feet, which humans should not be able to do.
I think Everest is 26,000.
And you need, oxygen.
Not everybody. I remember that part. Like, the natives don't need oxygen.
Sherpas.
Yeah. They don't need oxygen.
Yeah, that's because they do breathing techniques. They do these breathing techniques. And he even told Joe during the show, he's like, listen, by the end of the show, I could have you hold your breath for 4.5 minutes easily.
I could hold my breath for 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll watch you pass out on this podcast.
Yeah, later. I can hold my breath for 4 minutes. That's not that hard.
It's all about depleting as much CO2 from your body as you can and bringing in as much oxygen.
No, exactly.
Yeah, there's free divers that will go 100 meters down on a single breath. I think the record is 112 meters or something. That's 300 feet down.
That's so insane. That's more than 300 feet.
Yeah, it's basically a
football field down.
A 40-story building or football field, and you're just taking a rope. And
like, dude, my ears hurt when I'm like 20 feet deep.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine going 300.
Oh, no. I went in Lake Michigan the other day, and like I was hanging out with my one of my coworkers and her friend's daughter, and she's like a big seashell collector. So we were like parked in like the playpen area.
Yeah.
It's like 14 feet deep.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'll go to the bottom. And like, no, I was not ready for the ear popping.
The pressure, dude.
And then I got to the bottom, it was just straight mud. It was disgusting. I'm surprised I didn't find like a condom or something.
Oh,
it was
God.
It was disgusting down there. Like I was like, pull it up. I'm like, here you go. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Oh, God.
You don't want this.
Oh, God.
But yeah, 14 feet. I was like,
It's
I had
nuts.
to like repressurize myself for a little bit there.
Dude, it's nuts. Like you ever hear the story of like the guy who was the chief engineer in the Brooklyn Bridge, like died because he got the bends?
No.
Yeah. So when they were building the Brooklyn Bridge, I think it was early 20th century or late 19th century. So they didn't really understand that, like, you know how they say, like, if you go scuba diving, don't fly the next day.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
it'll
you've
mess
heard
you
that
up.
story of the guys that went scuba diving,
Exactly.
and flying,
But that's exactly what happened to this guy. He was the chief engineer. So like you have the workers who are down because they had to go to the bottom of the Hudson River to build this thing. So they had to.
Is this like Cuba Gooding Jr. in that? Have you seen it? Oh, you probably haven't seen it.
Dude, I don't even know who Cuba Gooding Jr. is. Dude.
Medal of Honor. No, that might have been James Franco. There's a movie with
I know
him and
James
Robert
Franco.
De Niro where he was a diver.
Yeah.
And he's black.
Okay.
And they were just very racist. Like,
Yeah.
basically, you would have to go into the depths of the sea wearing the old school, like, SpongeBob.
Dude, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Is Cuba Gooding Jr. the guy from Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
So is that Denzel Washington?
Yes,
Cuba-
he's in it, but he's the
plays
running
radio
back.
in one of those football movies?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
the running back in Remember the Titans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they like just fuck with him, and like
I
he's
have
basically at the
seen
bottom
that.
of the sea, and they like just throw his toolbox in, and instead of like roping it down, they just like open it up and throw it in the water.
Yeah.
And it's pitch black, and it takes them like 12 hours. Everyone's out there in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And they got to just fix this pipe. And I forgot where the fuck I'm going with this,
The
but
bends
yeah,
going back up and down.
yeah. No idea.
All right.
No idea.
So the dude, like the workers on the Brooklyn Bridge, they would go down. And,
They were probably wearing those types of suits.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Okay. Yeah.
Is
yeah.
because in the early 20th century, they did not have much when it came to scuba diving equipment. It was like giant steel cages. Continue on.
Yeah, so they would be down there. They'd be down there for the whole day. And they would be in the same pressure. So they were fine. And then you had the managers who were building it and the people on the actual bridge building it who obviously they never went underwater. So they had no change in pressure. But the guy who was running it, he'd go to the bottom and he'd check on things and then he'd go up to the top and he'd check on things.
So by going to the
up and
bottom,
down,
he'd
up
have to
and
get
down,
into
up
a
and down.
suit, go down.
Yeah. Up. It was more that he was changing pressure so frequently that he eventually just like popped a blood vessel in his brain and just done.
That's an aneurysm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Dude, there's so many crazy ways to just like.
Well, here's one to the guy who invented it.
Yeah,
Who
right.
was the-
Yeah, there you
one of the
go.
engineers.
Brooklyn Bridge designer. Brooklyn Bridge designer. Yeah, here's to you, man.
Yeah. Any other people that have died in just crazy ways that?
Well, I got a World War II story.
Okay.
This guy didn't actually die, but he came very close. So
Is he a sniper?
no, he's not a sniper. I could tell you some sniper stories from World War II, though. So there's the leader of the Soviet army at Stalingrad. There's a guy named Chukov, or Chuikov, depending on how you pronounce it. And so imagine this. The Battle of Stalingrad lasted from September until September 42 to February 43. So what is that? 5 months? 5 months in the most hellish conditions you could imagine. He was the commander. Not only that, he was the victorious commander. He won the battle. Not him personally, but his army was part of the victory. And so after the Germans finally surrender, I think it was February 2nd, February 3rd, they have a giant party. Soviets throw a giant party. The city of Stalingrad is on the west bank of the Volga River, but all the army tents were on the east bank, obviously, because it's out of fire. But his headquarters was in the danger zone on the west bank. So he goes over, he walks across the ice, because the river's frozen, walks across the ice, goes to this party, has a great time, gets hammered. He's absolutely hammered. You're under constant artillery fire, small arms fire for 5 months. Yeah. And he's finally able at least able to relax. He won. He's a national hero. He's hammered. He's walking back. Guess what happens?
Fucking falls through the
ice. Falls through the ice. He falls through the ice, almost freezes to death. Luckily, he was a high-profile general. He had like 2 guys with him.
Yeah.
But they had to pull him out and drag him. The Volga's like a mile wide. They had to drag him like half a mile to the aid station and try to warm him up. He barely survived. He still commanded an army for the rest of the war. But it's the ultimate irony.
A Civil War guy, or who was it? Another general. He got ran over by a runaway like carriage.
That was Patton.
Yeah.
That's how Patton died. Yeah, literally, it was just, I think it was in Luxembourg. His headquarters was in Luxembourg after the war, and he was just walking down the street. Like, you survived World War II, you're a famous general, you're just walking down the street, you get hit by a freaking carriage, and you're just dead. like
you just defeated Hitler, so crazy, and all of a sudden, carriage just fucking kills you.
Yeah, it's true what they say, man. History is stranger than fiction. Like, you couldn't make up some of the stories. Like,
absolutely.
Like, I saw something today. You ever seen it's from the 70s. You ever seen the movie A Bridge Too Far?
I don't think so.
It's a great movie. There's one scene where this captain gets shot, and his staff sergeant behind enemy lines, because they're both paratroopers. So his captain gets shot, and this sergeant piles this guy into a Jeep. And he has to drive through the German lines while he's being shot at to get to an aid station, a U.S. aid station. So he does that. There's a lot of drama, but he does that. He makes it through the German lines. He's fine. He puts this guy down on the aid table. The doctor says he's dead. He's like, put him outside with the rest of the dead guys. And so the sergeant takes his pistol out, points it at him, and says, look at him right now or I'm going to blow your head off. Literally. And which is court-martialable. That's a court-martial offense. You could be hung for that. You could be shot for that.
Pointing your firearm at your own side, yeah.
You could be shot for that. But so the doctor obviously does it, and he says, holy crap, this guy's still alive. This captain's still alive. And so then he brings in 2 other people, and they operate on him and save his life. The reason I brought that up was that American audiences at the time, this was in the 70s, didn't believe that story happened. They did not believe that actually happened when it 100% did. All 3 of the people were still alive at the time, and they confirmed. They're like, yeah, that's literally exactly how it happened.
I mean, it just goes to show our motto: if there's not a way, we will find one.
That's right, man. That's right. But I mean, that's why I absolutely love history. Is that just like insane stories like that, man?
Like you will fucking look at them right now.
Not only that,
I just drove through enemy lines. You better.
It seems like something out of a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And another thing, in the same movie, one of the characters was based on a real person. I shouldn't even say based on. It was the guy in the movie. And there was one scene where he like runs across an alley to talk to some of his men. And the guy who the character was based on told the actor, who's Anthony Hopkins was the actor, told Anthony Hopkins, he was like, you shouldn't run. He's like, you need to show the enemy and your men your contempt for danger. So he was like, when this happened to me, I walked across the alley. show that I had no fear. But they actually didn't do that in the movie, again, because it seemed so unbelievable.
They didn't want it.
They were like,
We're not taking this heat.
No one is going to believe this guy actually walked over to the other position.
That's
exactly literally what he did.
Insane. That's like
there's so many insane stories like that out there, man.
We could go on for days about this.
We literally could.
Yeah, dude, Chicago. What do you think?
What do you mean?
Lori Lightfoot. Didn't she put a barrier around her house?
Lori Lightfoot. All right. So here we go, folks. We made a promise in the last podcast to keep you updated on the latest Lori Lightfoot news.
Mayor haircut.
So mayor haircut.
Can we say that online?
Yeah.
Online.
We're going to coin it.
Okay.
We're going to coin it. Mayor haircut.
Mayor haircut.
The latest mayor haircut news is that Jared was correct. She prohibited any protesting outside of her own house. So think about this, folks, especially if you live in Chicago. You can go into downtown. You can go on the north side. You can go on the south side. You can protest. You can riot. You can loot as much as you want. Whatever you do, don't go to Lori Lightfoot's house. No. She'll kick your ass out right away.
You'll have about 700 cops on you immediately.
And this is something that I think we talked about last time. I think that if the will was there, the riots could stop. And obviously, it goes without saying, I'm not talking about peaceful protests. I'm talking about specifically about the rioting.
Yeah.
I think that if the will was there, we don't need federal troops. We don't need the National Guard. All we need is the police to do their job. And I don't blame them. They're being hamstrung.
They are. I mean, they're being put in a very, very tough position where they're almost being told to turn a blind eye in a lot of situations. And there are we've spoken about this and our views on the police. They're good cops. They're bad cops. You should obviously not defund the police.
Yeah.
You should weed out the bad cops. Yeah. But that being said,
however,
Lori's handling of this in terms of bringing in like private security, like I go to the Walgreens down the street, and there's just like this black unmarked car and like some dude probably sitting in with like an assault rifle. It's like, okay, so what gives this guy the right to have an assault rifle over a cop?
Nothing.
Who's been trained probably more, even though there should be more training.
Yeah.
You know, it's really fucked.
I think
for lack of a better term.
Yeah. No. I agree. I totally agree with you. I think, though, you're even missing the bigger point. Police are an extension of the government. Therefore, police, at least in theory, are accountable to the citizens. The police answer to us, again, in theory.
They try to answer.
Yeah. At least in theory, the police answer to our elected representatives who are a reflection of us. Mm-hmm. These private securities that wealthy people and politicians, like Lori Lightfoot, are hiring are answerable to no one. You said it earlier, it's not going to be 700 cop cars who come up and kick you out of Lori Lightfoot's place. It's going to be 200 private security officers who don't give a fuck.
They're given a license to kill, essentially.
Exactly. They don't care. They're getting their check from Lori Lightfoot personally.
And the only way they're getting it is if she's alive.
Exactly.
So
they don't care. They're answerable to no laws. There's no regulations on them.
It's like those contractors in Iraq.
Yeah, man. What was the name of that? Blackwater Security?
Yeah.
That had a really bad rep in Iraq in the mid-2000s. Yeah. That's who's patrolling our streets right now. That's one of the biggest issues with defund the police. Security forces aren't going to go away. Do you want police that, again, at least in theory, are accountable to us, or do you want private security officers who don't care about your rights?
They're accountable to not only us, but the badge and the state and local government, the government.
Not only that,
the Constitution that they,
I mean, look, we've all seen videos.
They have to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've all seen videos of cops who try to trick people into giving up their rights.
Yeah.
Mostly through intimidation. Mostly saying hey, for example, the big one I've seen is you can film a cop as much as you want. They just don't like it.
No. I mean, they try and come up with a reason as to why you can't film them, but if you're on public property, you have 100%
in your car on a street, for
100% right to film anyone
Exactly.
Or a public servant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. With a private security officer, like a cop they'll try to pull some moves, they'll try to convince you to put your phone away. The bad ones, I should say. The good ones, they don't care.
Yeah.
But private security officer will take your phone and break it.
Oh.
You're not videotaping me.
Yeah. Like,
Do something. They'll just exactly. They'll say do something about it. What are you going to do? I got 5 of my buddies
Call
out
the
here
cops.
with ARs. Yeah, exactly.
Call the cops, see if they show up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the videos of the good cops too. That there's the bad cops handling the situation, and
Yep.
the good cop comes in and is like,
100%.
"Listen, guys, like, you can record. We just got to make sure that we're here to make sure that everything is safe. We're not trying to impede on anything. You have the right to record here. Do what you want, but you have an assault rifle on you, so we're just concerned and." It's suspicious behavior, so we're just coming here to investigate it. We don't need your ID. We just want to make sure that, there is nothing more suspicious going on and that our suspicions are essentially mitigated.
Exactly.
Those are the good ones.
Exactly. And this is definitely an opinion of mine, 100%, but I do believe there's more good cops than bad ones.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more, in my opinion. But, it's just a very complex issue. But I think the biggest problem, you may disagree with this, I think the biggest problem is actually the media. There's 300 million Americans in the United States, right? And this may sound callous, but, 10 people get shot by cops out of 300 million. That's what, 0.0001?
Yeah.
Now again, any life lost is a tragedy. Absolutely any. But there can be no doubt that, I would say, at least prior to all the current events, pre-COVID, pre-George Floyd era, there was no safer time to live in the United States.
Yes, United States.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely United States. Not talking about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But there's just no doubt about that. There was no safer time to be alive.
No.
In the United States, and now it's just a
whole
very
world.
concerned.
I mean, you have Belarus all of a sudden, and the fucking explosion.
Dude, that was so crazy. I don't know what that was, but it wasn't an accident. They're claiming it was a gas leak or it was a firework.
They were just negligent on the amount of chemical that they were storing in that facility.
That was an insane explosion.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was so crazy.
If people had videos when Hiroshima went off, that's what they would have looked like, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. All right, so Big G, we got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, man.
You just reminded me of something, so I want to get your opinion on it. All right.
Let's talk, man. Stay focused, audience. Yeah. Stay with us, please. We promise to keep you entertained with our lovely voices and our beautiful condenser mics.
Yeah, beautiful condenser mics. Beautiful condenser mics. No.
Suck my unit.
Oh, my God, dude. That's such a good movie, man. We can't talk about Tropic Thunder. I think we talked about it last time, but it's such a good movie. Anyway, Randers. No. Here's what I was going to ask you. What's your thoughts on the Hiroshima bomb dropping?
Wolverine survived it.
All right, folks.
Okay, I'm sorry.
For tonight.
All right, we'll keep it serious. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't have to be serious. It happens.
Project Manhattan?
No. More the ethics, the morality of it.
Well,
not the intricate details.
So, you have to. Let's talk about the events leading up to it.
Sure.
Okay. So, the main event that people think of is Pearl Harbor being bombed.
Yep.
But Pearl Harbor was bombed for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your expertise.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to let me jump in.
There's Pearl Harbor, but there's something before that.
So, the tensions between the U.S. and Japan had been increasing for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For various events that would take a while to explain. The main thing is that after France fell to the Nazis in 1940, the Japanese took advantage of this, and they demanded that the French turn over their colony of Indochina, which is modern-day Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. That used to be a French colony. And the French agreed.
That's why it looks like France when you go there.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the architecture.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's cool. But anyway, so the French agreed because the Germans were allied to the Japanese and the French were a puppet of the Germans, so they naturally agreed. So they turned the colony over to the Japanese. In response to that, the British, Americans, and Dutch embargoed Japan. Totally embargoed them, 100%.
In the 1940s.
Now, this is now 1941.
So they're not like making cars and electronics.
Oh, not electronics.
They're relying on us.
They are making cars. The biggest thing, though, was this. They don't have, and still today, they don't have a drop of oil on Japan at all.
Yeah.
They bought all of their oil mostly from us, from the United States. It was like 90% of their oil they bought from us. And then also some from the Dutch and some from the British. So, long story short.
No commies.
So we embargoed them. Once we embargoed them, the Japanese viewed that as a declaration of war. So we were saying, leave Indochina, leave China, because they were also invading China at the time, and then we'll lift the embargo. That's what we did.
Yeah.
But they thought the embargo was war.
Well,
so that's why
that's taking away a major resource.
Yeah.
From,
yeah.
I mean, without oil, you can't run a country, let alone a military.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Military, let alone a country.
I mean, think about it. Japan's an island. You need oil for your ships. How are you going to defend your homeland without oil?
Sails.
But that was the point, right? That was the point.
Sailboats.
Yes, sailboats. I thought you meant sails as in like
little Assassin's Creed
something.
black flag.
Sails. Yeah, sails. You could, I guess, but no. But that's why they attacked
Pearl Harbor.
That was the main reason.
And our main response to that was bombing Hiroshima and
I wouldn't say
Nagasaki.
That. I wouldn't say that. I would say that the main reason we did that was because of the ferocity of the Japanese defenders. Like, think about this. They had something like 40, not even 40,000. It was more like 100,000 defenders on Okinawa, which was the last battle fought in World War II. Was the U.S. invasion of Okinawa, which is right by Japan. And, I mean, I don't think it was 100,000, but it was in the tens of thousands. So in the tens of thousands of defenders.
That's a lot.
And then something like 2,000 were taken prisoner. The rest fought to the death. And not only that, the Japanese authorities convinced 1/4 of the civilian population, that I do know was 100,000, to kill themselves. Yeah. To kill themselves,
Why?
Literally. Because of Bushido. The Bushido Code.
Bushido.
They thought that they
It's
viewed
more honorable to kill yourself
exactly.
than be killed.
So they convinced 1/4 of the civilian population,
fuck.
25,000
Shit.
people, to kill themselves.
Jim Jones.
Yeah, 25,000 people. Not only that, and this is something that I'm very proud of as an American. We, through an interpreter, through a Japanese American, were yelling at the citizens of Okinawa, telling them to not kill themselves.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I've seen videos of, like, there's a bunch of citizens right next to a cliff, and the Americans are yelling at them through a bullhorn, saying, "Don't kill we're not going to do anything to you. Don't kill yourself."
They jumped off cliffs.
And they just jumped off the cliffs.
Because it's an island. They didn't like Bushido like samurai.
No, not the civilians. Not the civilians. And very few of Japanese had swords.
Oh, that's true.
You know, and so most of the Japanese soldiers just shot themselves or blew up a grenade in their stomach.
Yeah.
But that was the main motivation behind the atomic bombs, was how brutal the fighting was envisioned to be. Not just for the Americans.
I think we've talked about this before, and I found that astonishing, that the fact that we bombed Hiroshima was to essentially stop that regime from convincing their own citizens to kill themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like it wasn't to like kill people. It was like, hey, we have to stop this or they're
Yeah.
just all going to fucking kill themselves.
It wasn't just that. It was also to limit American casualties, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
That was also a big part of it.
Of course.
Because we took a lot. I mean, we would take, like, you can see some of the pictures of, like, these tiny specks of land in the middle of the Pacific where, like, 2,000 Marines got killed.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese were just so ferocious. They were such good defenders.
Yeah.
You know? And they actually learned to stop the banzai charges. You know, like, at the beginning of the war, the Japanese would, when they saw the battle was lost, so they could die honorably in combat, they'd all get out of their trenches and charge the Americans. Well, the Americans loved that because, like, bam, battle's over.
Yeah, picking them
but
off.
they learned from Iwo Jima onward, they never gave up. They never did a banzai charge, and they never gave up. They just fought to the death. And they were actually preparing sharpened bamboo sticks for the regular Japanese population to fight the Americans. Like, you imagine being an American soldier and you get charged by 5 women with bamboo sticks?
You're fucked.
I wouldn't say that, but, like, imagine how much that would scar you for life.
I mean, if one of them strikes you...
Or if you get it, you're dead.
Yeah, if one of them strikes you in an artery, like...
I mean...
You would have a machine gun
that's
5-on-1.
But that was the main reasoning.
Holy shit.
That was the main reason.
So...
But what do you think about the justification? Because there's no downplaying that. I mean, look, I think it was Hiroshima.
There's a lot smarter people making the decision to nuclear bomb Japan than me. But my opinion is it was almost a necessary evil to show the world that we're not fucking around. Mm-hmm. I mean, what happens if that didn't happen?
We would have had to invade. Well, there's 2 other options. One, the worst option would be we just blockade Japan. And
that's worse than nuking them?
That's worse than nuking them, and it's worse than invading.
Because we're just killing them, essentially, all of them.
Starving them. Yeah. And not only that, it would have taken years. It would have taken like 2 to 3 years. I mean, like, literally, it's just like, you get... Die. Yeah, exactly. So that was the worst option. But that's what you would have done if you didn't want to use a nuke and you didn't want to invade. You just blockade them, the whole island, which we could have done. At the time, we could have done that. The other option was invasion.
Invading Japan.
Invading Japan. That was the other option. And that...
could have cost a lot of American lives.
And Japanese lives.
There's a lot of Japanese lives lost.
Yeah.
Edgewise.
There was. There was, and that's not something to be discounted. You're right. But I think... I believe that it's undisputed that an invasion would have been way more costly in terms of lives.
I don't want to say a necessary evil, but I think it was the best course of action given the current decisions and options they had. It was like, do we lose American lives and Japanese lives, or do we continually lose Japanese lives watching them kill themselves and continue to attack us? Or do they not heed to our pleas of them to just please stop?
Yeah. I mean, we did. A lot of people don't know. We did warn them.
Yeah.
We warned
100%. I guarantee we did. We're not the kind of country that would just fucking drop a nuclear bomb on an island. We'd be like, listen, you got to stop, or else we're going to fucking do this.
No, literally. The word, for secretive reasons, obviously, the word nuke wasn't used. But Harry Truman wrote a note, and it was dropped in leaflets over all the major cities of Japan.
Just like
that
in
it
planes?
was said, like leaflet dropping was big in World War II. Like, you'd print out 100,000 tiny sheets of paper and just drop them out of an airplane. Literally, that happened a bunch in World War II.
Facebook ads, but 1940.
Yeah. So he wrote this note that said, if you don't surrender, I don't remember the whole note, but the last line was, if you don't surrender, you will see a rain of fire from the sky, the likes of which the world has never seen. Which was true.
The unnecessary.
Yeah.
It was the evil that needed to
happen. Oh, yeah.
I'm not an evil person. I mean, sometimes an evil person if I drink too much tequila, but I'm not an evil person. But I mean, what else was? You know, you asked me the question. Was it justified?
Yeah.
No, you'd never fucking drop a nuclear bomb on civilians. That's never justified. But was it necessary? I think so.
I really like that. I really like that interpretation of it. I think that's a very good way to say it. I'm stealing that from now on.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could steal it all you want, but I think
that's a perfect way to put it.
I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty
yeah, pretty good.
That's perfect.
I gotta drop that sound.
That's
mic.
perfect. All right. What do you say we wrap it up there, man?
I say that we end the show without saying let's wrap it up there, but
damn. All right. Next time.
Well,
next time we're not going to say.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please, if you like our stuff, please like it, subscribe it. We're being endorsed.
Share.
We're being sponsored by Space Force. Thank you, Neil Patrick Harris, from saving us from the bugs. We really appreciate it. Donald Trump, you ain't doing shit to protect us from the bugs, but whatever.
Yo, hey, bro, that's fake news.
Get out of here. But anyway, guys, thank you for listening again. We very much look forward to episode number 3. And please smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. Give us a little love if you like us.
Smash it.
Please.
All right.
Just a little love. Just a little love. A little love. A little love.